I'm Valerie Hector, and this is my Cornerless Cube video tutorial. Super easy, super fast structure if you know how to make it. I want to tell you a little bit about it in this video. In the year 2000, I was in Beijing, and I went to the Hongqiao Pearl Market, where all tourists end up going eventually, especially women tourists who love pearls. A lot of the dealers are offering just long strands of pearls, okay, in all different colors and shapes. But some of the dealers were offering these little beaded beads, and I thought, what is that technique? It looks like right angle weave, but it isn't. It's like spherical. Anyway, long story. I bought these. I brought them home. I reverse engineered the technique, and I did it wrong. I did it super wrong. I did so wrong that every time I would make one of these, I'd be incredibly frustrated because it would be floppy. I could never make two exactly alike. And then one year, and literally it was years that I made these in the wrong way. One year it just occurred to me to sit down and try again, so I did. So what you're going to learn is the easy way, and that's this, okay? My second way of doing it, where every single time you do it, if you follow these steps, you're going to get a perfect structure every time, okay? Now the Chinese Cornerless Cube, as I'm calling it, has a total of 24 beads, okay? This is a finished example. And row 1 here has 12 beads, okay? You end up adding 12 beads. In row 2, you're going to be adding 8 beads. In row 3, you're only going to be adding 4 beads, but they have to be done in a certain sequence, okay? You can make cornerless cubes in all sorts of different beads. Here I'm using 6mm check glass druck beads, which just means a very plain round glass bead. A druck is a plain round bead, okay? These work fine. You can use plastic, you can use wood, you can use metal. I have often made these structures in sterling silver. I'll be having future videos that show you other beads that you can use to make these and embellish them. Now eventually I figured out a way to turn this structure into a clip earring, because a lot of my customers like clip earrings. You just make part of the structure. You fabricate the sterling back here. It has secret little armatures on the inside. You stitch the beading to the armatures and you're done. Fabulous clip earring, a retro look. You know, a lot of customers like this for a long time. Anyway, those are the highlights. I want to get right on to the next video where we're going to work on row 1, adding our first 12 beads. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Okay, row 1. We're first going to string 4 beads. And we're going to form this circle of 4 beads. You could call it a square. We're not going to make a knot because knots really aren't necessary. And they clog the holes, especially if your beads have kind of small holes. Knots can clog the holes, as you know. So I'm just going to go, I've strung the 4 beads, they're down close to the end here. And I'm just going to go back through the 4 beads. I'm going to hold the tail and slowly pull. Now those of you who are advanced beaders and you know right angle weave or cubic right angle weave, you can just skip ahead, you know, to another step, to step 2 or 3. You don't need to watch this step. This is for beginning beaders, okay, who aren't really too familiar with right angle weave. All right. So we're going to go through this bead here and pull gently, okay, and then pull both ends. This is the tail, obviously, and this is the working end. Okay, now I'm going to reinforce this once, which means I'm going to go back through this bead, this bead, this bead, and this bead. Okay. Okay, and now we've made this. We're ready to add another cube. Well, it's not a cube, it's a square. We're ready to add another square. And to do that, we're going to add 3 beads. Okay. we're going to go back through the bead we just came out of. Okay, so it looks like this. We're adding 3 beads and we're going to pull. So we have added another square. Okay, we've just finished this. We're going to reinforce it once. Reinforce the square that we just added by going back through each of these beads once. Now I think it's hard for you to see and things may get blurry as I do some of these steps. I'm aware of that, and I'm always trying to improve, you know, my equipment or my technique. So sooner or later, things will not be blurry and things will be easy to see. All right, now we've already added the first 2 squares. And now we're going to add one more. Okay, let's figure out which 2 have we added. We've added these 2 here. So we just finished this. We've added these 2. Now we're going to build another one off of here or off of here. It does not matter in this technique where you build from. You'll usually, very often, you'll have 2 options where you could build from. We could build from this, or we could build from this. And by building, I mean we're going to add 3 beads to this. We could add 3 beads to this, but let's just take this one, for example. And let's pull. And there we go. See, we've just created this. Okay, I'm using green thread here in hopes you can see it a little bit better than you'd be able to see black thread. I'm going to reinforce once. And in this structure, I save a lot of the reinforcing until the end. We do some reinforcing as we're building, but we do save a lot of it for the end. Now, I have to get here, right? I have to create this, which means I have to navigate over to this area. Doesn't matter, I could go this way, this way, this way, here, go this way. Doesn't matter how you get there, but we want to come out of either this bead or this bead, so that we can form our last square. Okay, so you will be doing this in your sleep very soon. It is so easy once you understand. Okay, now if we're going to form a square, how many beads should we add? Should we add 3? If we added 3, we'd end up with a square that had 5 beads. So we're just going to add 2 because we want a square that has only 4 beads in it, not 5. Okay. And we're just about done here with row 1. That's all there is to it. Okay. I'll do a little more reinforcing, not too much. If you are using beads that have really big holes, you're going to want to reinforce some more. These check Drux 6mm have kind of medium holes. They're not huge, they're not small. So I'm not going to do a lot of reinforcing, otherwise I might fill up the holes. Okay, so that's it. We have successfully finished row 1, and it doesn't get any harder from here. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Okay, row 2. Now in row 2, we add a total of 8 beads. We add them in pairs, so 4 pairs of 2. We add 2 right here. We always add from here, okay, an edge formed by 2 beads, or from here, okay? Always adding from an edge that has 2 beads, okay? So here we add the first pair of beads that's shown here, right? And then we add the next pair of beads. You have the first pair here, the second pair here, and then we add the third pair of beads. So that's 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, and then we end up with 4 pairs of beads, forming this kind of open-armed structure here, okay? Now to get into position, we have to be going through an edge bead, okay? Doesn't matter if we go through this one or this one. We can bead up like this, we can bead down like that. You can mix and match, okay? The structure is really flexible in that way, okay? I'm just gonna go up. I'm gonna add 2 beads. Go back where I came from, go through the same way again, okay? Adding 2 beads, and then pull. They're gonna wanna sit kind of wobbly, for lack of a better word. To mitigate that somewhat, I would reinforce once the 2 beads we just added, and then reinforce into the base, the edge that we added them from, okay? And there we are, turn, turn. Go through these 2 edge beads here, okay? Like that. And then we're gonna add 2 more beads. And go back where we came from, same direction. Okay. Make them stand up. Okay. So this is the first pair we added. It's the second pair we just added. And I'm going to reinforce this a little. Great. Okay. Now rotate and go through this pair of edge beads. This is our third pair of edge beads. Add 2 beads. Go back where we came from. Okay. Pull. Now I'm not going to reinforce this pair only because I'm kind of running out of thread for row 2, and I want to finish the 4th pair. So what I did there was I rotated, and I went through the 4th pair of edge beads here, like that, right? And now I'm going to pick up the final 2 beads that we're adding in row 2, and I'm going to go through the 2 beads I just came out of. Okay, can you see what's going on here? It's really logical. It's really simple. It's really straightforward. You're never going to need a pattern. Do it a few times. You'll have it memorized by heart. Okay. All right, maybe I'll reinforce this since apparently I have enough thread. Okay, so this is what we've created. This is the same thing. These arm-like structures coming off of row 1, okay? And I will see you in the next video. Row 3. Now, row 3 begins with these 4 arms sticking out here, like we ended row 2, but we can't work with these loose arms here. We've got to connect them. And so we're going to stitch around the upper perimeter of this structure here to create this structure here. It's a dome, okay? It's a perfect, beautiful dome. And we get there by just stitching around and around and around 2 or 3 times. Now, how many times you stitch around depends on the size of the holes in your beads, okay? You want to stitch around enough that you have a nice firm base from which to begin adding row 3, okay? So we're just getting ready to add row 3. We're going to stitch around here. And you notice I just added some thread. This is for you, you know, new beginners here. I'm just leaving a tail. I'm not forming a knot here. The thread will catch, and a knot isn't necessary. It'll just get in the way, okay? So I'm just stitching around, pulling, firmly, but you know, somewhat gently. Pull, pull. And we're just going to go on forming our dome, getting it nice and secure. Okay, so I've gone around once. I'm going to take a moment, pause, and pull. Just pull on the thread so the dome comes together, all right? Now I'm going to stitch around one more time. Okay, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Pause to pull, to tighten them. Okay, good. Now we've got our nice firm dome. You know, it's pretty well made here. It's a good base. We are going to start splitting pairs of beads, okay, to add more beads to this. What do I mean by splitting? Well, here's a pair of beads here. It's connected by this green thread in the middle, right? So I'm going to go through one of these beads to split the pair. This is what I mean by splitting a pair. Instead of going through both beads in the pair, just go through one and pull. And now we're in position to add the first two beads, okay? So we finished our dome, and now we're going to add our first two beads, okay? So we'll stitch one bead, two beads, and we are going to go, we're going to split another pair. We're coming up from this pair here, which we split, and now we're going to go back down through this pair here, which we're about to split. We're going through this bead here, if it will let us, which I hope it will. Okay, there we go. Pull, and so we've got the first two beads added in row 3, and we have formed a square. Squares are what we're always forming, you know, in this technique. So just take a moment, check, and ask yourself, did I form a square? Okay. If you did, then fine, let's move on to the next step. And in the next step, we're just going to add one bead. To get into position to add that bead, we're going to go up through this top bead here, okay? We're splitting the pair of beads we just added, okay? We're going to string one bead, and now we're going to split this pair here. We are going to go through this bead here. Let's take a moment and check. Did we create a square? Yeah, we did. Okay, we're going to close the square by going back through the other beads in the square. Okay, and now what's left? Only one bead remains to be added because this is row 3, and we only add 4 beads here. This last bead that we add, we'll split this pair, and it will create 2 different squares of beads just by adding one bead, okay? So we're going to go through this bead here, go up through this one, we're splitting a pair, and now we're in position to add the 4th and final bead, okay? It's going to sit right here, okay? We can add it by going this way, okay, through that bead, or we can add it by going this way through this bead. It doesn't matter, okay? All right, so now it's in place, okay? The final bead is in place, but we have to close up these rings, two squares or square rings of beads. We have to close them up now. We'll stitch around, make sure they're nice and closed. Otherwise the structure won't hold together well. Okay, I'm going around the second one right now. And the biggest tip I can give you at this point is don't be in a rush. Go kind of slowly, because when you're in a rush, you tend to create uneven tension in the structure, and you end up with a lopsided structure, okay? So we've completed our sphere. We got one just like this. Now it's still wobbly, okay? It's still kind of wimpy. We're going to, where's this one? I like them firm, okay? This is much firmer. You can quit now if you want to, if you don't mind having a wobbly sphere, or you can go on and reinforce. The biggest tip, again, that I can give you, if you're going to reinforce, is go slowly. And as you're going slowly, look at the shape of your sphere, okay? And when it looks kind of weird and lopsided, pinch it back into shape as you're working. Go slowly and keep pinching it back into shape, and you'll see that over time it starts keeping its spherical shape as you reinforce, okay? But when it's wobbly, it wants to distend, you know, it wants to go out of shape. Reinforce slowly and keep encouraging it to go back into a perfectly spherical shape, and it will, okay? Because this is spherical right angle weave, and it wants you to succeed. Anyway, I won't go on reinforcing it all the way. Congratulations, you have finished your first Chinese Cornerless Cube in the technique known as spherical right angle weave. Thanks for coming by, and I'll see you in another video. Please subscribe if you like what I'm doing here, and like. Bye.